Now, Rambo, I don't make the orders. I take them, just like you. I'm Liam, he's Rob, and this week on the Hey Guys podcast, we look back at the peak of Sylvester Stallone's powers and the very 80s follow-up to First Blood, the aptly named First Blood Part 2. Not content with ostensibly ending the Cold War, Stallone saw fit to solve the decade-long Vietnam War POW MIA issue by, well, killing a whole lot of Russians in Viet Cong. But just how many does he kill? Well, it might be a 135% uptick from the original movie, but how does it compare to Rambo 3 and 4? What we do know for sure, though, is that this movie has 100% more kissing than the other Rambo movies, and that based purely on my knowledge of First Blood Part 2, I have to assume that all Vietnamese intelligence officers are smoking hot. Now, this movie was a monster hit, and commercially at least, easily the most successful Rambo movie, but growing up, this was always my least favorite of the original three, but it was a different story for you, right, Rob?
Well, I wouldn't say it was... like Rambo 2 was the one I watched the most because I've already said this story. That's the one I had on VHS.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was my favorite by any means. It was the one I watched and my knowledge of Rambo. I didn't actually find First Blood. I was a bit older.
Yeah.
And Rambo 3 never watched until we watched it on the podcast.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. I couldn't believe that you'd never seen Rambo 3.
So absolutely. And then obviously
it's weird you say that because the one I had I've always thought Rambo 1 is the best movie. And as I've got older, that's been completely cemented. It's just a really good movie and it feels very different to First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3, etc., etc. The closest one to it, despite all the violence, is probably Rambo 4 actually. But the one I watched the most unequivocally was Rambo 3 for some reason.
So never saw Rambo 3, but randomly did watch Rambo 4. So I've seen all of the Rambos except Rambo 3 until we watched the podcast. Yeah. And it's funny you say as well about basically Rambo killing everyone, because I always said that Rambo kills Burma in Rambo 4.
He does kill Burma.
I honestly think he might have killed Russia and Vietnam in this as well. What I do want to say about your pick for this is thank you, because we've now finished the Stallone versus Russia trilogy.
Awesome. Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
I mean, Rocky 4, Rambo 2, Rambo 3. He has a thing for the Cold War. He's really against Russia in the 80s. He didn't like them.
Well, it's weird, this movie in particular, because everyone kind of associates it with kind of, Reagan-era politics. And you can definitely say that of Rambo 3. So Rambo 3, the shark is officially jumped, by that point. It's like him versus the entire Russian army fighting alongside the Afghans, all that jazz. I thought, because I haven't seen this is, like I said, this is the Rambo I've seen the least, other than Last Blood, for obvious reasons. But going back to this, and I think one of the reasons I was warmer on Rambo 3, and I might actually still be warm on Rambo 3, is that this movie doesn't quite commit either way. It's got one foot in First Blood, more so than I remembered, actually, because, despite all the, emphasis on Reagan-era politics, it's like, this is really has a dig at American foreign policy. Yeah. And in case you hadn't noticed, it really goes after Coca-Cola, bizarrely. All the bad guys are all drinking Coke. They all love Coke. They make a point of it. But then the other side, and I would go as far as say for like an hour, this is closer to First Blood than I remembered. Don't get me wrong, it's still an 80s action movie, but it was a little bit closer toning to the first movie than I remembered. But then the moment that Co got killed by the evil Vietnamese soldier guy who never speaks, but we just know he's the evil one.
Is that right before they do a Flash Gordon and a thrashing, where for some reason, 80s again, they fall in love quicker than you could microwave a meal?
Well, you see in this, in Flash Gordon, we said it was just because Flash Gordon was so goddamn charming and she's just fallen for him. In this, and she makes it pretty clear, Co.
She wants a green card.
She wants a green card. Yeah. That's exactly what I wrote down. It's like she's just like, you take me to America, yeah? Kiss. But you take me to America, yes? Yes, you made a good decision. But I love it. It's so rough on Rambo because he's had such a tough life. And he finally has this moment. Yeah, she's after a green card, but he finally gets a little bit of action. The moment he gets a bit of action, dead. She's fucking dead.
I know. What I felt for him as well is, I say felt for him, after he sorted her out, like he made his headband, his iconic headband out of her dress, and he put her necklace around his neck.
High and tight, by the way. What's a high and tight necklace?
That's exactly what I was going to say. The only thing I could think about was the fact he just garroted himself before he moved on. Like he's got that weird. He's got that weird, like muscly men have that weird cavern in their neck, don't they?
Like the neck version of a cum gutter, basically.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And he popped it on, and it like fell into that. I thought, fucking hell, you're not going to be able to breathe, mate.
Well, it's weird because I think in that moment, like, not only does he literally become what I think of as 80s action hero Rambo in that moment, because after Coe dies, he literally, we just spent 30 minutes then of him just killing Viet Cong and Russians.
Yeah.
But he also visually becomes Rambo at that point, because he gets the iconic headband and he gets the necklace, and it is literally Rambo BC. So there's Rambo BC before Coe, and then there's Rambo AD after death. So it's the two different versions of Rambo, and up until that point, like I said, he's still relatively close. He's topless a lot, I'll give him that, but he's relatively close to what we remember Rambo being from the first film. Only, kind of moved into this kind of extreme situation back in Vietnam. But then from the moment she dies and it's Rambo AD, it's just a bloodbath. And that is where the vast majority of the kills actually happen, are in those last 30 minutes. And I mentioned earlier about the kills in the Rambo franchise. So this is just for the first 4 films. And obviously you're going to get the idea. I don't like Last Blood, which is strange because you actually prefer it to some of the other ones, don't you?
I kind of prefer it to Rambo 4, Rambo versus Burma. Only because I, as we've said before many times, I like a stupid action movie.
Oh, Rambo, that is stupid.
Rambo watched Taken one too many times and thought I can do better. It's basically what it is, So... And fine, he didn't do better. He did on par, in my opinion. I'm not saying I've seen it again. I haven't seen it again. But I enjoyed it when I watched it in the cinema.
It's such a Rob move, right? Because doing a bit of research for this, I was like, I had my mindset that everyone had, like, the bookends were the same. So I was just like, I had it in my head, I was like, all right, everyone has Rambo, they have First Blood at the front at number 1, and they have Last Blood at number 5, and then everybody has a different 2 through 4 in terms of the rankings. And I checked online, and I checked 10 lists. Every single one had First Blood number 1 and Last Blood number 5, and then they all had different orders of 2.
In the middle,
it was literally all over the place. Yeah. And I was like, I bet you Rob's the only person who's like, I'm going to have Last Blood in 3rd, I'm going to have First Blood in 4th. And just to be clear, after some careful, and like I said, the second through 2 through 4 are open to debate for me, and I could change my mind. But I would probably go First Blood, Rambo. I actually think the 4th one is the second best one, and tonally, despite all the violence, the closest one's the first one. Then Rambo 3, then First Blood Part 2, and then Rambo Last Blood. But I want to make it clear there really is a blanket for me over 2, 3, and 4. Like, given my mood, those could shift around. My initial thought is 4, 3, 2, but on another day, I could move that around.
I'm not trying this to start any fires.
No, I know.
But for me, it's First Blood. Then it's Part 2. Then, when looking at the last 3 films, I enjoyed Last Blood. So Last Blood would be 3rd.
Yeah.
I'd put Rambo 4 there. I didn't like Rambo 3. So I really wasn't a fan, as we know, because we've covered it on the podcast.
A lot of people like Rambo 3 as the 5th favourite one. Sorry, as the 4th favourite one.
Do you have, by any chance, because if you don't, I do, because we mentioned the kills, do you have, for all 5 films, the on-screen kill count?
Well, that's what I have. Right. So I have the kill count for the first 4 films, but also the subcategories of kills by Rambo with his shirt on and his shirt off.
So I don't have shirt on and shirt off, but I have the on-screen kills for the rest of them.
Okay. So you've already checked it as well, but I was like, because my wife was asking me, it's like, do you know which Rambo has the most kills? I was like, it's Rambo 4. It has to be Rambo 4. It is absolutely
Rambo 4, yeah.
100%. And I was like, well, we know Rambo 1 only has one kill.
But are you also surprised?
And it's by an accident. It's by accident, wasn't it? He threw a stone at the dude in the helicopter and he fell out, and it was the only death in the whole film, and he didn't mean it. Everything after that, I'm pretty sure it goes 2, and then loads more in 3, and then loads more in 4.
And then it kind of amps down a lot. Yeah. But I'll say the number of the kills now, because I'll do that, and then you can do shirt on a shirt off if you got that. But What is ironic is it's still not as many kills as I thought it would be. It's high, but I honestly thought it'd be more. So, especially so you just said First Blood was 1 kill. First Blood Part 2. Well, and we'll get the reason why it's called Rambo First Blood Part 2 is because Sylvester Stallone knew he wanted to do sequels, but didn't want to call them First Blood 3. So he put Rambo in there himself so he could carry on with the Rambo name, and that's why Rambo 3 was Rambo 3.
Anyway. This series has the most, let's just clear that up. This series has the most naming convention, the most insane naming convention of any movie series ever.
Yeah.
Like even Fast and Furious, I don't think it can be.
I don't know.
First Blood, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, Rambo, Last Blood. It's pretty insane. Okay, Fast and Furious does run it pretty close. I'll give you that.
First Blood Part 2, 75 kills. I'm shocked at that because it was like the whole of Russia come out of the woodwork at the end. Okay. Rambo 3 is 115 kills. Kind of makes sense. Again, thought it'd be a bit more. Rambo is 254. And again, I thought he killed all of Burma. So
the thing is, though, right? With like Rambo 2 and 3, one of the things you'll notice, because obviously you see the numbers I have here for Rambo kills with his shirt on and shirt off. Unsurprisingly, Rambo 2 has the highest percentage of kills with his top off. That's
of course. I'm surprised he had any kills with his top on.
Yeah. But what you see is a lot of the, there's a disparity between the number of Rambo kills and the number of kills altogether. And you'll notice, like, a lot of them will come from like helicopters. Like at the end of the film, when dudes are just flying by and they're just mowing people down. Rambo 4, from what I remember, he's doing it all himself. He's just killing motherfuckers just outright. Like, like the numbers are getting buffed massively by, and Rambo is a series that loves helicopters. Right from the first film, as with the aforementioned, the only death in that film comes from the helicopter. And then just that obsession with those gigantic Russian helicopters. I've got the names of them. They're like the Mi-26 or whatever the fuck they're called, which are in First Blood Part 2 and First Blood Part 3. But I think the kills from those helicopters...
First Blood Part 3, you just did it.
Oh, sorry, from Rambo 3. Fucking hell, come on, Liam. But I think those completely massage the numbers for Rambo Part 2 and Rambo 3. Whereas Rambo 4, I just think he's just killing everyone. I mean... He's just killing it. It feels like he kills 1,000 people when he's on the back of that truck.
On the back of that truck. And also when he found the only nuclear-style landmine in the whole of the world.
Yeah.
Because when he set that off, I'm sure there was a mushroom cloud.
It was ridiculous. And I remember that sniper rifle just being the best, where he was just absolutely, like, people were just getting literally disintegrated.
And this one gave us his like, I say iconic, the bow and arrow as well. So
good. So good.
It's so good. And it's the only thing that lasted. And again, it's magic ammunition because he has enough. He only put 5 explosive tips in that box, but he had enough explosions to, again, kill most of Vietnam.
Yeah. It feels like he kind of got off more than 5 shots, but there's just like the bow and arrow, but whether it be movies or video games, it's just the best weapon. It's just the best weapon. Yeah. It's fantastic.
So Rambo 2 uses a Bell 212 and a modified aerospatial SA-330 Puma disguised as a Soviet gunship. This is for all our helicopter fans.
Yeah.
And Rambo 3 uses the Mi-24 Hind as the primary Soviet attack helicopter. Yeah. It's the one, again, where he shot a bow and arrow at the guy in the helicopter.
Yeah. And they just look fantastic. They're so much bigger than every other helicopter on Earth, and they just look the business. And again, that's like the last part of this film when it really... So it's like this movie largely jettisoned the political commentary of the first movie in favor of like traditional action movie tropes. But like I said, unlike the third one, this one still has one foot in the waters of the original. It just doesn't... For the vast majority of it didn't feel as ludicrous as I kind of pictured it in my head.
It was ludicrous.
No, it was, but it really was. I thought it was kind of like back end heavy. I was like, for like I said, 40 minutes, I was like, it's silly, but it wasn't quite as silly as I remembered. Okay. The one thing that, like, I was hoping that the 4K transfer would sort this out, because I watched the 4K transfer of this film, and this film, the cinematographer is Jack Cardiff. I just want to give him a shout out because
tap your chest, hopefully represent. Yeah.
And this is an Oscar-nominated director and cinematographer, and I think this movie is, like I said, especially in 4K, is a really good-looking movie. It's shot on location. It's a handsome movie, except for those goddamn soft focus sequences.
Oh, I know. It looked like he rubbed Vaseline all over the fucking camera lens.
I know, and like they show up so randomly. I was like, in my head, because I haven't seen this film for a while, I was like, oh, maybe it's just for like the sequences with Rambo and co. And, obviously it was a deliberate choice by the cinematographer. But when you rewatch the film, they're just kind of scattergun throughout the entire movie, and they show up for literally a shot, and then it goes back to the traditional cinematography. And I, for the life of me, couldn't figure out what he was going for. Like I said, clearly deliberate, still there in the 4K transfer, but I hate it. Like I said, this is a good-looking movie with, whatever you might think of it, the most iconic version of Rambo, without question. Like, he looks $1 million in this movie. He looks the same, like I said, where like Arnie never looked better than he did in Predator. Yeah. And Harrison Ford never looked better than when he was on the bridge in Temple of Doom. He just looked $1 million. That when you see him in the rain and he's got the fucking bow and arrow and he's got the headband, you're just like, man, Sylvester Stallone hasn't got 0% body fat, absolutely shredded, great cinematography, looks $1 million. And then they do that soft focus thing, and I want to throw the TV out the window.
Gorgeous hair as well, by the way.
Great hair.
I do have to ask as well, what was the mission? I appreciate. So I'll explain what I think the mission was and why I think it doesn't work, and then you tell me why I'm wrong. So they get Rambo to go take pictures because there's prisoners of war. Okay, that's fine, but he's only to take pictures. He's not to rescue him. Now they were knowingly now sending him to an empty, what they believe was an empty encampment.
Yeah.
Because nobody actually wants to rescue prisoners of war because it'll cost money.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But the sole purpose of them being in Thailand with all the gear was to rescue prisoners of war.
Yeah.
So if they don't want to rescue the prisoners of war, why are they set up in Thailand anyway?
I think they just need to look as if they want to. So they're set up in Thailand because of the political situation.
I get that, but what I mean is, if you don't want to rescue prisoners of war, don't.
But you can see like the other guys who are there. It's only Murdoch and his two cronies. So it's him, the head of the Cobra Kai, and his other
Martin
evil
Cove, and the other dude had a fantastic name. I'll find it in a second. I can't remember.
They're clearly
Lifer. His name was Lifer.
But they're the only three in on it, so they have to keep up appearances, and like everyone there is like trying their best, except for those three. But they're like, listen, everyone could try their best because, as you said, as far as they're concerned, they're going to send him in. They're going to do everything by the book. And there's going to be no prisoners of war so that they can go back to Congress and say, oh, we tried it, but there are no prisoners of war. We can just get on with our lives. No fuss.
I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. I just, it doesn't make sense to me.
It's a stretch. And also, if you've got a mission where ostensibly you want to send in a guy and the only thing you tell him is, dude, don't kill anyone. You do not send John Rambo. You don't send... And not even clear, who's gone to prison with clear PTSD and mental issues, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll send this fucking guy."
It's not someone saying don't kill anybody. You're sending an ex-POW to not rescue POWs. Like you think that's gonna fucking go down? The other thing,
honestly, you said about just one thing quick. When they send him on the mission and they give him all the gear, and he does that classic gear up sequence, and I love that initial sequence because it reminds me so much of Metal Gear Solid, only it's with a plane instead of a submarine. If I was watching him, the moment he basically reloaded a camera like it was a fucking shotgun, I'm like, no, we can't send him. He's going to kill everyone. He reloaded I don't even know how you reload a camera like a gun, but he did it. No fucking way.
Yeah. I mean, even the click sounds like he's racking a gun.
Shotgun. It was so cool.
Martin Cove as Erickson, and I just had his name then, Steve Williams as Lifer. Even though they're following orders, even they fist pumped the air and helped. Well, Lifer definitely helped when the POWs come. But so I guess they're following orders as well. But I just don't understand the whole Murdoch thing. Played reasonably well by Charles Napier, by the way.
He's great, and I love how the more he gets in trouble, the sweaty he gets. Now this is like a very sweaty movie, but there's different ways to sweat. So there's movie star sweat, which is Rambo in this film, or the classic example would be The Rock in the to bring it back to the Fast and Furious films. And what a movie star does is they sweat quite consistently. So what they end up doing is they glisten. They just fucking glisten. Whereas Murdoch, he starts going at the armpits and just never stops. It's the very undignified way of sweating your ass off, basically.
The other thing as well, Richard Crenna is Troutman in this. Richard Crenna is Troutman in 1, 2, and 3 is pointless. He is in all of these films just to go, well, Rambo's the best. You've got a problem? It's Rambo. This is Rambo. Oh, Rambo, Rambo. Like, there's no point in Troutman at all
You
in
say
any of these
that,
films.
but I like, dude, I want Troutman as my PR guy. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
tall.
yeah. He is.
What you call tall, Liam calls normal. It's like I totally want that guy just speaking on my behalf, just telling people about my legend.
He is definitely like Rambo's hype man. Like he is the
Totally
guy for. I don't know if we got any wrestling fans, but AEW, he is Swerve Strickland's Prince Nana. Or going back to the 80s, he's Jimmy Hart. He is literally coming down
100%.
to the ring, just shouting out about this. Or Paul Heyman, any one of those guys.
Yeah, or Bobby Heenan, he kind of has
Yeah.
a similar look, I suppose. But like, I guess he has more to do in the third one in terms of like,
Well, because he got kidnapped.
He got kidnapped, yeah, but at least he was doing something. But yeah, he is basically in all three movies. He's just Rambo's hype guy. And the way he talks about him is so, especially in this film, he's just kind of, feathering the legend, so to speak.
I love the last thing as well. And that had to be a Stallone, right? The last lines of the film where he's talking about, I want America to love us as much as we love it. And he's basically going, well, we've saved America via boxing speech. Now I'm going to do we've saved America by soldier speech. And it's like, he wanted, whether or not they did it when the camera stopped rolling, there had to be some sort of slow clap, didn't there? Just, oh, dude.
Well, that's what I mean about this film being, on the one hand, like I said, even like slightly critical of America and tiptoeing around these ideas of what it means to, what the Vietnam War meant to, obviously Rambo, what it meant to America. But then you have, like you said, like that last sequence is like the slow clap version. It's very much his version of the, if I could change, you could change, everybody could change. But it's like, even early in the film, it's like, in that kind of, 80s era of America where they're ostensibly just rewriting Nam. Like this film was called Rambo, First Blood Part 2. It could have easily just been called Nam 2. It even has the line, it's like, sir, do we get to win this time? This time, it's up to you. And it's like, oh yeah, the 80s, we're going to win now. It's all patently ludicrous. But, and as I said, that's one of the issues I had with this film is that I feel like tonally it kind of swings back and forth and never kind of picks a lane until pretty late in the film. But on the other hand, I probably enjoyed it more this time than I ever have before. And part of it, like I said, is the fact that it's such a gorgeous looking film. I love the score by Jerry Goldsmith. Might not have ever been better than it is in this film. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But, you can be critical of what it becomes in the last 30, 40 minutes. But I think the last 30, 40 minutes are my favorite bit of the film. When it's suddenly like it picks a lane and it's like, fuck it, we're just gonna have Rambo cleaning house. When he goes in after Murdoch and he basically goes, fuck Murdoch, fuck technology, and just shoots everything with an LMG, Mac from Predator style, and then screams into the sky. I'm like, yeah, I fucking love it. I love it.
It was the build of just not just before that, at the beginning of the last 30, 40 minutes. When he's on the radio just after he's been tortured, and he squeezes the life. It's like he got angry at a walkie-talkie. He squeezes the life out of the microphone stand. Like if that microphone stand was made of anything other than titanium, it probably would have snapped. It was absolutely. It was so funny to watch. Yeah,
he says Murdoch. He squeezes the life out of it, and I'm sure you notice there is a bolt of lightning between there, and then I'm coming for you, Murdoch. And it's just like, and then you're like, dude, you've interrogated him. He's clearly a badass. He's totally shredded, and you're gonna untie his hands to make the call. Basically, you're asking for trouble there. Yeah. Although, just out of interest, because this was very much the era of the interrogation sequence, including lightning or electrocution, whatever you want to call it. Lightning, electrocution, we'll call it that. It's cool in this, and it's clearly set up to just show off, Sylvester Stallone's absolutely shredded physique. Yeah. Which, fair play to him, because he was competing with Arnie. He knew he was never going to be as big as Arnie. So he's just like, I'm going to be totally shredded. And he looks fantastic. But it just doesn't have the same impact. And the two that jump out at me...
Lethal Weapon is one.
Totally. Yeah. Lethal. I always thought the one in Lethal Weapon was amazing with those weird sponges.
Yeah, and that's Al Lung, isn't it, as well?
Al Lung, yeah. I always remember, despite the fact that the film is like a family film, I absolutely adore it, but I always thought the sequence with the machine from the Princess Bride was really disturbing.
Yes, yeah.
Where the water comes through and it's like basically, I'm not sure if it's even, I assume there's like electricity involved, but it's stealing years of his life. I always thought just on a conceptual level that was really dark. But for me, it was always the Lethal Weapon sequence that stood out for me.
I mean, Sylvester Stallone did great. Like you said, it's a whole point. They put him on a mattress, a spring mattress or spring bed, just to show his physique. The difference with that and Lethal Weapon is Lethal Weapon, again, the way Mel Gibson is portraying that, it feels real. It feels like that loose cannon is getting fucking violated with electricity at that point.
Yeah, he looks like, I think that is the difference, is that Stallone is doing the whole Stallone Rambo thing where he looks uncomfortable, but doesn't look...
He's still doing stoic.
Stoic, yeah. Whereas, like you say, when Mel Gibson does that, he looks like it's the worst thing in the world. And you're like, this guy's tough, but he looks like he's in so much pain. And I'm just like, I think he just totally sells that sequence. It's like, oh man, I want to see Lethal Weapon again. But
do you know... sorry. We're on about the director. You mentioned last week George P. Cosmatos. You said that he may or may not have directed Tombstone.
He was definitely involved in Tombstone, but as to how much he actually directed is up for debate. Yes.
Like he showed up for Tombstone, which is fine.
Yeah.
Do you know what he directed exactly, without looking it up if you haven't already, the year after this?
Cobra.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, I didn't know he directed Cobra. You know,
how do you know? We did Cobra. We talked about.
No, we did Cobra, but that name.
No, I know what you mean.
Like, certain directors will always pass me by.
Yeah, no, I the reason, and it's probably like if you go back and listen to our Tombstone podcast, is that I'm much more invested in Tombstone than you are. Like I'm a massive fan of Tombstone. It's one of my favorite movies of the 90s, let alone one of my favorite, westerns. And I'm, fully aware of the whole George P. Cosmatos story because of that. But yeah, I only knew the Cobra thing because we did on the podcast. But I was like, oh, we've done this is our third George P. Cosmatos film. And I looked at the list. I was like, is a fourth one on the way? Because it feels like one of those is the one you would totally pick.
Leviathan,
yeah. I'm sure you've mentioned Leviathan in the past.
I'm just trying to.
I've never seen it.
Familiar.
Paul Weller's in it. I know that. Oh, not Paul Weller. Peter Weller. Paul Weller.
Oh, and Troutman's in it.
Yeah. He's in it as well. Am I making that up? I thought you said you enjoyed that film.
I've never spoken about it. No.
Someone I was talking to fucking loves Leviathan, and I just in my head I was like, it must have been you.
Automatically assumed it was me.
Must have been you.
I mean, to be fair,
my apologies.
Oh, sorry. Fucking Ernie Hudson, Daniel Stern.
Maybe I'll be picking. We need to do Leviathan because I've never seen it. But the person I spoke to, whoever the fuck it was, spoke very strongly about it. Like, with the reality that it wasn't the best one, but like, there's a lot to like about it. I was like, it's just one of those films that totally passed me by. So maybe we'll do our fourth George P. Cosmatos film.
I mean, as fourth and only because he has directed a couple of other things, but they're just things that we wouldn't touch.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I don't think the other films are
Shadow Conspiracy from 90. See, that sounds like something I'd pick. Mm-hmm.
But
I haven't even seen it.
Oh, sorry.
I've never even heard of it, but Shadow Conspiracy just sounds like something I'd pick. And I looked at it straight away, and it's a Charlie Sheen 97 film, which is around the same time that he did, was it Arrival, where they're being hunted by aliens with backwards knees? And what was the one where he was a skydiver? Terminal Velocity.
Terminal Velocity. That was a bit better, in fairness. Yeah. I have seen that one. But to bring it back to Rambo First Blood Part 2, guys, it's long when you just said it.
Say this film.
Yeah, this film. As good as the set pieces become in the latter half of this film, did you think when he's going into kind of skydive into Vietnam, the whole him getting hung up on the plane was so clumsy? I couldn't figure out what happened. I couldn't see what the problem was. And then once he cut himself free and clearly used his parachute, basically Murdoch and the guys are like, oh, he must be dead. He must be dead. And I'm just like, why? Why do you all think he's dead? Well, and, I thought he was going to land and not have his equipment or some other nonsense. But instead, it was just like straight to business. I mean, when he landed, it was cool because, I'll bring up Metal Gear Solid again. It was like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. But then even that element of him being in the jungle just basically disappeared immediately because he runs straight into Co and he's on the boat and you're off to the races, basically. Yeah. Onto the boat where you're like, these guys are clearly going to double cross you.
They're going to sell you out as soon as they get a chance.
It's like he has that line earlier with Troutman where he's like, you're the only one I trust. And I'm like, are you sure you don't trust any of the dodgy looking dudes, on the plane with the sunglasses or the head of the Cobra Kai or fucking, they're the most untrustworthy selection of people I've ever seen on screen. So
you would be forgiven. You would be forgiven for first impressions. They say never judge a book by its cover. First impressions, but no, first impressions for everyone else in this film. Absolutely.
You walked into a room with those three, and you're just like, "Fuck, man, this isn't going to go well. This isn't going well at all."
The silent guy who wears the sunglasses at night, well, he's going to fuck me over.
100%.
I mean, you said head of the Cobra Kai who doesn't like sleeves. He's going to fuck me over.
He does hate sleeves, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Hates sleeves. Quite bizarre.
I mean, sweaty guy in charge, definitely going to screw me over.
Yeah, and but like you said, same on the boat. Like as soon as you show up, you're just like, well, clearly this isn't going to go well.
Yeah. I mean, it's in the name pirates. It's not like they were going to be nice for you.
Fair enough.
You said about when he got hung up. It was clumsy because there was no... Like, I understand how he was... Like, it was his reserve parachute. I get that. But because he cut his parachute line, apparently that cut all his equipment off.
Oh, so he didn't... Well, that was one of the things, right? So obviously this film, they're hinting towards the whole idea of like soldier versus technology, humanity versus technology, blah, blah, blah. And you have that whole room of people who were there to supposedly and exclusively help Rambo. And of course, it's the quintessentially 80s technology. So it's just a bunch of like basically circuit boards everywhere and lights beeping. And I'm like, what are they all doing? What are they all doing?
I know, because there's no tracker on him. There's no nothing. So they can't. It was very, very insane.
They can't contact him. They can't track him. And they're all like, they always seem to be busy. And I'm just like, what are you all doing, guys?
All they needed in that tent was the radio, because that's the only thing that worked properly, because the rest 100%. Of it was pointless. As I'm thinking now, what I thought it was when he got hung up, I thought it was the... Do you know when paratroopers used to jump in World War II? They'd all be connected. Well, and not just World War II, paratroopers. They'd all be connected, wouldn't they? And it'd automatically deploy their parachute as soon as they jumped out. So I thought it was one of them. But as I think about it now, it can't be. Because that pulls your parachute and that stays hanging in the plane. But that thing, the end of that was the thing that got hung up. So what I think that was a bit of his equipment that got loose and got him hung up, and that's why he had to cut his equipment away.
It just felt slightly pointless. Right. But it is what, like I said, and if it had more of an impact with him landing, but he still had his bow and arrow, he still seemed to have all his gear, he had his tiny little knives which he used to kill the dudes on the boat. I was like, I never got a sense that he was really missing any equipment. He just kind of just got on with things, I suppose.
I mean, even if he had no equipment, he had thunder and lightning, didn't he? So he was fine.
Had thunder and lightning, so he'd be absolutely fine. But yeah, like I said, once this film gets going, really, like I said, the whole Rambo BC, Rambo AD thing, I do think it's fantastic. I was struggling with the whole time scale of things because to bring it back to Predator again, there's one sequence when he's covered in mud and he kills a dude. But it seems to happen like 2 seconds after he's killed the last guy. Yeah, and then 2 seconds later again, he's clean. Sans mud again. You think in Predator, he takes ages to cover himself. The rest of the film, he's covered in mud. And you're just like, all right, he's just killing people. Like if you're going to compare it. So basically, the last 30 minutes is Rambo First Blood, but just on steroids. It's just like, we're just going to remove all the common sense and reality that was inherent to like the last 30 minutes of that film when he decides to take out all of the kind of part-time soldiers. And we're just going to apply that to the entirety of the Russian and Vietnamese army, apparently. And he's just going to do it really quick. So it's all just about the visuals. There's nothing to do with the setup. It's just visual, kill. And it doesn't make any sense, but it is cool. And before you can start worrying about it or think too much, he's suddenly blown up half of Vietnam with, explosive tipped arrows, which might be the coolest thing in the entire Rambo series.
When they capture him after they abort the mission and him and the POW are captured again, he's put in that weird mud bath thing. And then you realize
that's really weird. I don't even know what they dipped him in.
No, so they've got him in something, but it's not really torture because it's just like it's just making him warm. The leeches are on him, that's fine, but they haven't really tortured him because they're going to dunk him or something. But when all of a sudden then you realize, the Russians are involved because naturally.
Well, the Vietnamese just aren't evil enough. We also need Russians.
Yeah. So Podolsky shows up, and as soon as I see him, I went because I forgot I must admit, I forgot that Russia were involved in this until I watched it again.
I forgot Steven Berkoff played Lieutenant Colonel Podolsky.
Yeah, I forgot that he was fucking Victor Maitland.
Yeah,
he rocked up and what the fuck is Victor Maitland doing here as a Russian?
He was also in Fair Game, a movie we'll not be covering, but was, it had an impact at a certain time in my life because I had a massive crush on Cindy Crawford. But needless to say, she was not in any other movies after that for obvious reasons.
What was Fair Game?
Fair Game, the one with Cindy Crawford and one of the Baldwins, Stephen Baldwin, I want to say.
William.
William Baldwin, sorry, not Stephen Baldwin. Yeah, I watched it once. It was rubbish. Cindy Crawford looks $1,000,000 as she always does, but yeah, it wasn't a great movie.
I was getting confused with the Adam Baldwin one, Alec Baldwin one. I think it was called The Getaway.
Oh
with
yeah,
Michael Madsen and
there are a whole bunch of Baldwin movies that most of the world have forgotten, except for maybe you, sir.
We've done a Baldwin.
Like a
Baldwin film.
I mean, other than obviously we've done The Shadow.
Of course we have.
And we've done the.
So we've only done Alec because we did Clear and Present Day. No, The Hunt for Red October.
Well, we also did not The Untouchables. What's the other one? The one we did not so long ago. Oh my God, with Kaiser Soze and all that jazz.
Usual Suspects. So we did Stephen Baldwin as well. Okay.
I think those are the only two. We keep threatening to do Fled.
Yeah, that's another Stephen Baldwin one, and we keep threatening to do Vampires, which is with Daniel Baldwin.
Yeah, that's another one. Okay. Well, like I said, we're not. I would take both of those.
Are we never going to get a William Baldwin one then?
Could be a struggle. We could do Baldwin season, I suppose, but I'm not sure if I want to.
Oh my God, let's do that because I will pick the weirdest. Well,
you almost have no choice. It's like there's a few decent Baldwin films, but then the drop off is pretty spectacular. Biodome is one we could do, I think.
Biodome.
We talked about Biodome.
I don't know if I could do. I mean, I would like to do Biodome, but I don't know if I could do 90 minutes of Pauly Shore.
I know it's going to be tough. Yeah. It's like the same reason we're probably never going to do what's it called in America? Encino Man. We call it
California Man. Yeah.
Because no one over here knows what an Encino is. Like, what the fuck is Encino Man? Jesus Christ, very strange. But beyond the fact that Rambo goes around killing everyone at the end of this film, they suddenly, as we mentioned earlier, they do bring in the helicopters and the giant, inexplicable explosive barrel, which is worth it just to see Rambo doing the slow mo.
I had questions about that. That's fine because that was a Rob take, but we'll get into it now because you're right. He basically got a depth charge on the bottom of his helicopter. Like, has it been there the whole time? Did they hook it up just for this moment? Did he go back to the to base to get it hooked up?
Listen, I know Rambo's a badass, but it feels like overkill.
Yeah, it's not even on. Like, there's no hatch. They didn't push it out. It's been dangling there since the start, I assume. Since they thought, let's go hunt Rambo. Rambo outruns it.
Yeah, awesomely. By the way, he looks great.
He looks great running it. But the bird's eye view shot of him doing that is fucking ridiculous because it looks like he's in a stream. He's just running, and like the waterfall apparently that he's on is the smallest waterfall I've ever. It's the same fucking. Because was that just after he killed the guy that killed Coe?
I can't. So right, no. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So he kills the guy with the explosive arrows. Then the helicopter comes in, drops the depth charge apparently, and then it flies entirely too low for no apparent reason, just so we can jump out the water. He has the fight in the helicopter with Yushin, which is all very underwhelming, if truth be told, because you feel like Yushin's going to be this big badass. Their fight kind of sucks. But then, you have the catharsis with Rambo basically just blowing up Vietnam from a helicopter.
Yeah.
And then, detaching the LMG and just shooting up. And that's when it goes really 80s, where it's like he's standing point blank in front of other soldiers and just mowing them all down and no one can, lay a glove on it. It's all right, fair enough. But it does lead to the big helicopter battle at the end with what's his name? Yeah. Which is great.
So I thought it was Yushin, but it turns out it was Podofsky. But do you know who was originally set to play Podofsky?
No idea.
Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. But then could you have him as Podofsky and then he would have to also be doing the torturing because he just looked too badass.
So when Sylvester Stallone realized it was the same man who was going to be in Rocky IV, they paid off his contract. So have some money, just go be Ivan Drago. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love Dolph Lundgren, but I'm just not convinced he'd be a great Podofsky. He'd make a better Yushin.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I originally thought, because he would be a better Yushin. He's like intimidating as fuck. What I love is he went from this and went, you know what, then it's fine. I'll go and do Red Scorpion. Was Red Scorpion before or after Masters of the Universe?
I think it was after. I have it in my head it was after.
Well, Masters was 87, wasn't it?
Yeah, Masters was 87, yeah.
So when was Red Scorpion then?
I did my head.
Yeah.
I thought it was 88. Yeah. A bad film.
Terrible film. We will not be covering on this podcast.
Yeah, I am fully aware. I watched that a lot when I was a kid. I'm happy to leave it there. I'm fully aware that it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I'm going to say as well. They will not be picking. I've told you this before. Dave and I, used to get together on Saturdays and watch films with all the friends and everything, and they would always hate the ones we picked. Mm-hmm. And only once did we turn around to the friends and go, "I'm so sorry."
And that was Red Scorpion. Yeah, that's fair enough.
If I can ever find it, because it's not over here, we're going to do the 89 Punisher.
I would be more inclined to watch that because I only watched it once when I was younger and I can literally remember nothing about it. I can't remember it being bad or good or anything. I just don't really remember anything. I'm pretty sure it wasn't a masterpiece. I just remember specifically Red Scorpion as being quite rubbish, despite the fact that I watched it a lot. Yeah. But that was just...
I watched it a lot. It was one of those VHSs I owned. Mm-hmm. And then,
I know. But yeah, like I said, you get the big helicopter bat at the end. It's totally awesome. Seeing those helicopters on screen is the difference between kind of modern movies and now and it was the reason that when Rambo 3 in particular was the most expensive movie ever made, a big part of it was those fucking helicopters because it cost a fortune to run and to, rent them and put them on screen. But when you see them and they're real, they just look great. And I love the kind of battle that they have between, the super-powered Russian helicopter and his budget helicopter with the POWs in there and it's spewing smoke and everything. And I like the idea of Rambo playing possum at the end. But I'm just like, why doesn't Podolsky just blow him up? Dude, you've got him dead to rights. Why are you waiting to see if he's dead? Just blow him up, dude.
Also, where did the rocket launcher come from? Was it in the helicopter?
It must have been.
Because the only time I saw the rocket launcher or any instance of a rocket launcher was, again, the pirates went, if there's any police out here, we got the rocket launcher, we're fine.
Well, between that and obviously using the rocket launcher on the boat, where it just seems to be one of those things, Russian rocket launchers are just knocking about everywhere in Vietnam. Yeah. They became quintessentially sorry, I've used that word again. Used that word far too many times in this podcast. Intrinsically linked to Rambo, and obviously a big part of that was the poster. I'm sure you remember the poster for this, where he's holding the rocket launcher and there's flame stuff in the background. It was just I associate Sylvester Stallone and Rambo with rocket launchers, and I associate Arnie and Commando or Matrix with, was it a grenade launcher he had?
Well, I think it was a rocket launcher as well, but it was a four.
It was a different style though, wasn't it? Very unique. It was a very 80s one, whereas that was a classic Russian one. I think the Rambo one as being the definitive rocket launcher.
The one that Rambo has is an RPG. It's a rocket-propelled grenade.
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming the one the Matrix has is a rocket launcher.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
So,
I think you're right.
What I loved is you said about the poster. It's so funny as well because he's holding it like it's an M16 or something. He's not holding it like it's a rocket.
He's not.
launcher.
Yeah, he has it on his shoulder. He's kind of holding it across his waist, like an AK-47.
Did you I completely forgot as well because I said as well the Stallone versus Russia trilogy. America's 80s obsession with fixing foreign conflicts was fantastic.
Oh yeah. We're trying to get back to it.
We had Red Dawn. Red Dawn. I forgot we did Red Dawn as well, but we had Red Dawn. All I can think about is Red Dawn is the radio in the freezer.
I just remember Red Dawn. I didn't have that attachment to it that you guys did, and I wasn't as warm on it. But I didn't have the nostalgia for it. So, it very much my approach. Red Dawn to me versus you was very much what Rambo 3 was the other way around.
Yeah.
Whereas I had this total attachment to Rambo 3, and despite the fact that it's a bit rubbish, I have all that nostalgia, and I think of it as being this kind of vintage 80s movie. It's it couldn't be any more 80s. Whereas Red Dawn, it just didn't have that attachment. It didn't work for me. But to bring it back to actually, it was I was watching this, and it just reminds me how much Stallone, more so than anyone else, defined the 80s. Because I think on a visual level, on a cultural level, he kind of ushered in the 80s. So you think about the difference from what he even looked like aesthetically in the late 70s. So you see him in, say, Rocky 2. He looks like a different person. And suddenly you get to this and Rocky 4 in 85, and he's just absolutely shredded. And, even I guess to a certain extent, Rocky 3 kind of helped usher us in this direction. And then the ultimate expression of the 80s action movie art form was, for better and for worse, was Rambo 3. And then you can also make the argument he ushered us out of the 80s with Tango and Cash. It was the last movie ever released in the 80s in the cinema in the United States. And it feels like the last 80s movie. It feels like we're having one last bash at this. We're slightly knowing about it, but this is still an 80s movie. And then we're off into the 90s and it's a completely different style of action movie. But Rambo in particular, when you think about the differences, like how different it feels from First Blood to Rambo First Blood Part 2 to then, eventually Rambo 3, it just feels like that progression deeper and deeper into 80s action cinema.
So this is one of the only ones as well, one of the only kind of this style of action film that have multiple sequels, the franchise, should I say, where they are slightly different, as you've just said. I mean, the big one that I always think of is Aliens. Every version of Alien film is a different style of genre.
Yeah, but that's stylistic rather than But
these ones, I mean, the one man against the army thing is prevalent through all of these films. But what I mean is, First Blood is like a post-war PTSD, film about a guy where he's
much more grounded.
Yeah,
much like despite the fact he fights all those soldiers. We mentioned when we did the podcast, they go to great lengths to explain that these guys aren't full-time soldiers, that, this is a trained killer. He's out in the woods. He's in his element. They're completely out of their element. And they go to, he doesn't actually kill anyone. Whereas like the last 30 minutes we mentioned with this film, it's basically the same thing, but a completely different take on the same kind of sequence.
First Blood Part 2, he still has a bit of PTSD, but it's more catharsis for him, where he's starting to get like, he's rescuing himself sort of when he rescues the POWs. That's fine. And then number 3, it's just fuck it. I want to go to Afghanistan now and just kill Russia. Okay, great. And then I'm going to go back to like an Asian country and just do it all again.
Well, like I said, the weird thing is, I think Rambo 4 is, despite the violence, kind of splits the difference, because I think his interpretation of the character is closer to First Blood, in so much that I think he looks tired. He looks like he's struggling with everything. He wants to be left alone, but then he gets forced into the situation. But then, they were like, well, we've done Rambo 2 and 3. We're going to have to go full action oriented with the latter half of it. And it goes a bit insane. So tonally, they all feel slightly different. And that was one of my issues with Last Blood, is that it just felt unpleasant. That was my overall, and maybe I've only seen it once, and maybe I need to go back to it. But and I don't mind gratuitous violence, as I found out with Rambo 4, which I thoroughly liked. But there was like a nastiness I found to Last Blood, which I couldn't get on board with.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, with Last Blood, if you look at it like a Taken style film, but I guess try and get away from the fact that the last couple of films were Rambo doing something noble. And yes, he's doing something. Well, he's not really doing anything noble.
He kind of is, because he's saving the girl.
He didn't save the girl. She died.
Yeah.
He died. So he's basically just getting revenge.
Yeah.
So he hasn't saved anyone in this one. He's not saving anybody in Last Blood.
Yeah, it's more just like, this is what happens when you fuck with Rambo on his farm.
From a guy who's built tunnels all over his farm. It's fine.
Yeah. He's that kind of guy.
Going back to Stallone, and I'm sorry I'm taking it away from Rambo again.
That's quite right.
But he has had the weirdest 80s, hasn't he? In regard. 100%. So I'm going to list from 81 up until 89 the films that he has done.
It's eclectic.
It is
surprisingly eclectic, because like you say, the obvious comparison is like with Schwarzenegger, and for the most part, most of his like IMDb, it kind of looks as you'd expect it to, whereas Stallone, there's a couple of real curveballs in there.
So 81 was Nighthawks.
We need to do that on the podcast. I totally want to watch Nighthawks. 81
again was Victory. Completely forgot he was in Victory.
Yeah,
but we know it is Escape to Victory, don't we?
Yeah,
in America, in the UK. 82 Rocky 3, 82 First Blood, 83 Staying Alive, because I think he directed that.
Yep.
84 Rhinestone, where he's a country singer with Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton, yeah.
85, then he went from Rhinestone to First Blood Part 2.
And Rocky
4, yeah. And then he was in the music video for Living in America because of Rocky 4. 86, Cobra. 87, Over the Top.
Great film. We've covered all these, by the way.
88, Rambo 3.
Yeah.
89, another film that I would like us to cover, Lock Up.
Oh, yeah. Lock Up for ages.
And then Tango and Cash.
Yeah, and it gets even weirder in the 90s. But I think
I'm not going to go into the 90s, except for the fact he did Oscar.
Oh, of course, Jesus Christ, that was rough.
Yeah.
But it's the whole thing that, people kind of bundle in Stallone with Arnold Schwarzenegger for obvious reasons. But as I've always said, it's like, he's a better actor he's a writer and he's a director. So there have been moments in his career when he's wanting to push the boat out and do something a little bit different. And I think a lot of his career has been kind of like this push and pull of like, am I the 80s action hero, or am I trying to do something a bit more? Am I, interested in doing kind of, broadly appealing character pieces like the first Rocky or the first Rambo film? Or am I doing 80s action nonsense with Rocky 4 and, Rambo 3? And he goes back and forth. And I love both versions of Sylvester Stallone. But then you also get fucking Rhinestone. So, yeah, as I said, eclectic for sure.
I've sent you him doing the music videos for Rhinestone. I'm like, when he's singing. Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ. He takes a couple of swings, bless him. Yeah. Do we have anything else we want to add before we move on to Rob's take?
I'm just looking now. No, I think we've covered everything that I've got on here.
Cool. Go for it.
I mean, I did write down sweaty jungle heat. I don't think we need to go back to that again.
Yeah. As I said, it's very, very sweaty. And although I did find it strange that I was watching this movie on Amazon Pro because I signed up for Studio Canal, and the movie ended, and of course the next movie just starts. I was like, oh, cool, it'll be Rambo 3. And it took me back to First Blood. I was like, why would you do that? Like, I can see Rambo 3 is on the service. I just watched Rambo 2. Yeah, anyway, doesn't matter. Moving on.
Yeah. Rob take, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 for this. I got the... I wrote down, I love the 80s for this. It's the bow that can kill anything. Helicopter, bow. Armored vehicle, bow. Entire Soviet platoon, bow. It's like the Swiss Army knife of war crimes.
It's pretty awesome.
That thing took out everybody. And again, it was the Hawkeye style refillable quiver. Yeah. It never ran out of arrows.
No, I wish I'd paid attention now to see how many he actually shot. Because like you say, like at the start, when he's doing his gear up, you see him very specifically putting the arrows into the quill, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it doesn't look that many, but he definitely shot off a few.
There's only 5 explosive tips. Mm-hmm. I know that. 4 or 5 in the box. Mm-hmm. But then I don't know how many just normal...
Felt like more though, didn't it?
Arrowheads he
Maybe we're wrong. Maybe we're wrong. I'm sure somebody's counted, but hey-ho.
I'm going to ask you to actually remember specific part of this film now, because this one really got to me. It was when he was going through the jungle and he was killing all of Russia. Mm-hmm. There is, as I wrote down, the silent scream tree murder. I think it's after he... No, sorry, it is before he becomes full...
I know exactly what you mean.
Commando.
Why does the guy scream silently?
Yes, thank you. He's on the floor. He's in a tree, Stallone. He grabs him by the ankles.
Yeah.
And as he's dragging him, the guy's going... like he's been stabbed in the... Like all the air is escaping out of his lungs.
Because I was watching this movie with my wife, and I was like, why can't he scream? I think, like, because I guess it's shot almost like a horror sequence, that particular shot. And I was like, is the idea that he's so scared that he can't scream? But I was just like, it's a big risk for Rambo, because the whole idea, I guess, is that he's quietly taking out one after another. He's going full stealth. And I was like, there's no reason to believe that if you drag that guy by the ankles and pulled him into a tree, he wouldn't be screaming all the way.
He would scream his lungs out.
Like, no, I 100% agree. It was very, very strange.
I could not believe... It felt like the whole Lord of the Rings thing, where Peter Jackson said to Christopher Lee, when you get stabbed, scream. Mm-hmm. And Christopher Lee said, no, darling, no. Have you seen a man get stabbed? Because I have. He wouldn't scream. He would... So...
Yeah, but that, I can... Like, there's different ways
right, but that's what I mean. If he got stabbed in the side or anything, maybe it's silent because all the air is escaping out of his lungs. This guy got tripped over by the ankles.
Very strange. Very strange. No, I absolutely agree. In terms of favourite scene, very much linked to what you said there in terms of Rob Takes. It wasn't him getting dragged into the tree, by the way, which is probably my least favourite sequence in the whole film. It's the exploding arrows. So it's him taking out half of Vietnam when he's like blowing up the bridges and everything, and it just all looks awesome. But specifically, it's, the evil Vietnamese guy who, like I said, doesn't really get much to do. He just looks evil. He does a really good job of looking evil, and obviously kills his girlfriend, his quote-unquote girlfriend, Co. And that's, it's completely silly because he lets that dude have a couple of shots. Like, he's out in the open and he takes his time with the arrow, and it's just like, oh, I hope this guy's not a great shot. It's so silly when he hits him with the exploding arrow and he blows up. But at the same time, I was like, fuck yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, dude. So that was my favorite sequence.
For me, and this makes me sound like a sociopath, but it was the torture scene.
Yeah, sure does.
It's the moment the film leans fully into its like Cold War power fantasy. You got Rambo tied up, being electrocuted, drenched in sweat, surrounded by sneering Soviets who think they've finally broken him. Spoiler, they haven't. Stallone sells the pain with every vein in his body. Okay, I'm not going to be overboard with that because he was just very stoic. But the scene becomes like the perfect encapsulation of the 80s action logic. The more you torture the hero, the angrier and more unstoppable he becomes. It's sweaty, intense, melodramatic, and the exact moment the film stops pretending to be a rescue mission and becomes a one-man geopolitical revenge tour.
Yeah, they basically run it back in the third film, like the scene with Troutman and like him getting tortured by Russians. Yeah. It's a very similar sequence. It's like a Russian officer with a larger Russian guy standing next to him doing the torturing, and that's one of the things actually on the list beyond the kills and the kills without tops and with tops, blah blah blah, is there are enough torture sequences in these films for there to be a separate section on torturing. So every film has at least a couple of torture sequences. So yeah, very bizarre, but totally fair enough. Oscar season, in which we hand out 3 Oscars and 3 Razzies in categories of our choosing.
I thought we do. Sorry to interrupt. I thought we do. Do we not do facts before that, or am I missing?
I thought we did facts later.
We've done 260 episodes and we can't even figure out.
I thought we did facts after alternative titles.
Absolutely, you're probably more than right. I'm sorry, my head. I just wanted to interrupt for some reason. Right. Let's go Oscar season.
All right. Well, anyway, because I copy and paste these from like the last week.
No, you're probably more than right. But for some reason, I had in my head, I had the facts up going. When are we just like,
dude, I'm doing the facts. I'm doing these fucking facts. You'll get a chance to talk about it. The Oscar for highest and tightest necklace goes to Rambo. Just ludicrously high, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah. Like to the point where you just, I had to make a note of it. I was like, man, it's a high and tight necklace. It just looks uncomfortable. The Oscar for lowest body fat percentage goes to Stallone. As I mentioned, Schwarzenegger bigger, but Stallone absolutely shredded. Like you said, this is his peak. I think as a star, I don't think it ever gets better for Stallone than 85 because one of the things we didn't mention beyond the fact that this is the same year that Rocky IV came out is this movie was a monster hit, not a big hit, a monster. It made 300 million against 25 million budget. It actually set the opening weekend box office record in the UK, beating E.T. So for a while, this had the biggest opening weekend in history in the UK. This is an R-rated action movie. But this was unquestionably Stallone's peak as a movie star. And I think his peak physically. He looks a bajillion bucks in this film. Where was the other one? Jesus Christ. And the Oscar for most obvious bad guys who aren't supposed to be obvious bad guys goes to Murdoch Erickson and Sunglasses Dude, whose name I've forgotten. Just as soon as you walk into the room, like, come on, guys. We know what's going to happen here. Double press some motherfuckers.
His name was Lifer.
There we go. My apologies.
Right. Well, quickly, yes, you are 100% correct. First Blood Part 2, 300 million. It made Rambo 3, 188 million. First Blood, 125. Rambo, 113. Last Blood, 91 million.
Yeah. Just not as well received.
No. So the Oscar for the best use of explosions to solve every problem goes to Rambo. Bridges, explode them. Camps, explode them. Helicopters, explode them twice. Just blow them up.
Safe bet, explode them twice. If we have any doubts, explode them twice.
The Oscar for the best shirtless tactical strategy goes to Rambo. He approaches war like a CrossFit workout with live ammunition. Mm-hmm. And finally, the Oscar for the best villain who exists purely to be humiliated. Winner, the Soviet military. They're not antagonists, they're bowling pins.
Yeah, they don't do great, but that's that runs throughout the just Rambo 2 and 3, really, isn't it? It's just, like you said, it feels very similar in many respects. The Razzie for shortest relationship goes to Rambo and Co. As soon as he gets a bit of lips in action, she's dead, and that's the end of it. Although my brother, this might come up in facts, and I don't look at facts because as we know, you definitely look at facts. Is that supposedly they shot like a sex sequence with them? Like there was more stuff in terms of their relationship, but they were just like, it looked horrible and everyone looked awkward. So let's just have them kiss and then have her killed immediately, which I think was probably better for the movie.
Have we ever seen Stallone do a love scene?
He must have. What about Assassins? Feels like he probably did something in Assassins.
I always feel like I don't know.
He had the like totally weird, horrible sex sequence with Sandra Bullock in Demolition Man, where they got the fucking head things on.
Oh yeah, no, actually, the one that I do remember, not Assassins. It was the other one around that time where he liked the Specialist.
Specialist. Maybe that might be the one I'm thinking. I always mix up Assassins and The Specialist.
No, because there was who was it? Sharon Stone.
Mm-hmm. And I remember, that's who I was thinking of. So I was thinking of The Specialist rather than Assassins.
I remember him saying
he probably didn't fuck Antonio Banderas in Assassins, in fairness.
I remember it being in that where he said something along the lines of, "People want to see me naked, not you," to Sharon Stone.
Yeah, he got away from him for a bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Bless him, Sylvester Stallone. The Razzie for worst on-screen sweating goes to Charles Napier as Murdoch. As mentioned earlier, there's ways to sweat on screen. That is not the way you want to go, but I feel like it was intentional because he's a little dirtbag. And the Razzie for clumsiest set piece goes to Rambo getting hung up on the plane. We mentioned it earlier. I really don't like that sequence.
Yeah. The Razzie for the worst attempt at stealth goes to Rambo. He's supposed to be sneaking, but he's built like a granite statue and glistening like a rotisserie chicken.
Mm-hmm. And just dragging people into trees, assuming they won't scream,
yeah.
of course.
And the Razzie for the most questionable geography goes to the entire film. Vietnam is portrayed like a theme park designed by someone who once saw a swamp in a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the Razzie for the most overconfident helicopter pilot goes to every helicopter pilot. They fly directly at Rambo every time. It never ends well.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And like I said, the one guy who actually does get a drop him in, then just waits for Rambo to wake up and shoot him. So yeah, nobody does particularly well in helicopters in this film. Any alternative titles to this film? The answer, of course, is yes. It fucking has to be yes.
Oh, fucking hell. It's ridiculous. Austria was Rambo 2, The Mission.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was actually called First Blood Part 2, The Mission. I think this is one of the few movies that had a teaser trailer around that time, back in 1985. And on the teaser trailer, it's actually called First Blood Part 2, The Mission.
Well, not in China, because it was called First Drop of Blood 2.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Finland, Rambo Fighter 2.
Mm.
What else we got here? Going down. Japan, Rambo Escape from Fury.
Yeah, we'll come back to that shortly.
Portugal, Rambo 2, The Hero's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Spain, Rambo Cornered Part 2.
Sure.
Taiwan, fantastic. First Blood sequel.
There we go.
Yeah.
No messing around.
Turkey just wants you to know what's going on. Rambo 2, First Blood 2.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Double down.
But my favourite and the final one, West Germany, Rambo Part 2, The Assignment, but my absolute favourite, and them going, they were not happy, I'm guessing it was filmed in their country or set in their country, was Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Rambo 2, The Murderer Returns.
Oh, yeah. That's a different take on the material, for sure. That motherfucker shows up again. The good news is for you, Rob, we're doing facts next, so you have your moment to shine.
Oh, I don't want to do facts.
You have to do facts now. You make such a fucking fuss.
The film is dedicated to special effects technician Cliff Wenger Jr., who was accidentally killed by one of the film's explosions.
Oh, dear.
You'll never guess which one because it should have just been called Everything Blows Up, this fucking film.
A lot of things do blow up. Yeah, because even the pirate ship, that blows up as well, and he kind of springs at the front of it, doesn't it? So yeah, most things do blow up in this film.
At the time of filming, there were close to 2,500 Vietnam veterans still missing in action.
Which is one of the things we've not really mentioned about this film. You know, the idea that is the true narrative behind this film. If we were going to make it a story, it's like, it's about these, because it'd become a thing in America. These are, there was a whole bunch of POWs who were still missing action. And the weird thing is, it's like this movie is like, it's actually set in 1985. So it's filmed and set in 1985. The Vietnam War ended in 1975, so it's positive that these POWs have been, in Vietnamese jail for 10 years. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's rough going.
Co-writer James Cameron, which we didn't actually say, but he co-wrote this film apparently, claims that he only wrote
co-wrote with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, well, that's it. He claims that he only wrote the first draft of the script, and Sylvester Stallone made many changes. Okay. Cameron had originally paired Rambo with a humorous sidekick. And for some reason, whenever I think of humorous sidekick, I think of Rob Schneider.
Judge Dredd.
Yeah. And had fleshed out the prisoners of war with elaborate backstories that were to be revealed over the course of the film. However, Stallone reportedly didn't like that the sidekick got all the cool dialogue and also scrapped most of the POW's backstories to the point where Cameron claimed that they might as well have gotten to the jungle to pick up a six-pack of beer. When the film was released, the political content in the movie was considered controversial, with many feeling the Vietnam War was altered to look and sound heroic. Cameron commented that he only wrote the action and that Stallone wrote the politics.
Well, in fairness to Stallone, he was the one who basically recut the screenplay for First Blood. So obviously based on a novel, he took that original screenplay and he's just like, Rambo talks too much. So he cut all that out. And, a lot of the choices I think were wise ones. And, it's always, because it's James Cameron in particular, I wonder what, James Cameron's version of this movie might have been. But I'm not sure if there is a great version of this movie, but we got what we got.
Sylvester Stallone ranked his preference of the Rambo films on the UK chat show, The Graham Norton Show.
Here we go.
He ranked this one fourth, his least favourite, as it was like a cartoon.
So, 4 out of 5?
He just ranked this one. So it doesn't say when he was on the show.
It was probably when he was promoting Last Blood.
First Blood. No, just Rambo. Rambo was 2008, wasn't it?
So which one did he have a second? Rambo?
No, it doesn't list. This one is fourth. He doesn't list it.
That's fair.
I could probably find it so I'll look for it in a sec. But
all right, cool.
Actress Julian Nicholson's first film role, the production founder in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
In scenes with Arrow,
yeah, because she's not Vietnamese. She's like Chinese American.
In scenes where arrows are being shot, they are attached with wire so they land in the right spot without hurting anyone.
Good idea.
Charles Napier was a real-life veteran of the U.S. Army serving during the Korean War. George P. Cosmatos was hired after Sylvester Stallone's son, Sage, saw his film of unknown origin in 1983 and recommended his work.
Fair enough. He's had an interesting career, if nothing else.
Yeah. At the time of filming, the US didn't have diplomatic relations with Vietnam. Relations were eventually re-established in 1995. Despite being an action film, no one dies until the 34-minute mark, over a third of the film's runtime.
Well, like I said, when it starts relatively slow. It's not like straight into the action. It takes a bit, but once it gets going, it really gets going.
Sylvester Stallone worked with Martin Kove in Death Race 2000 in 1975. Completely forgot he was in there.
Yeah, me too.
As Bao died in Rambo's arms after the ambush, there was supposed to be a triple zoom in, while Sylvester Stallone screams "no" echoed 3 times. During a test screening, audiences actually started laughing. It was quickly re-edited to the present form.
Yeah. It's just relatively low key the way he reacts to it. Probably wise.
I think I'll leave it there. There's quite a few. I will look for what was
Stallone's list.
Stallone's list. Yeah,
be interesting if someone's mine.
Yeah.
So, Hunt to the Future remake sequel. Let It Die, Leave Well Alone. I mean, the obvious answer is Leave Well Alone. It's a bit of a shame that Last Blood was the last movie, but they are doing a prequel. John Rambo with Noah Centineo, I think his name is Rambo. He looks the part.
Who is currently Ken, I believe, in Street Fighter.
Yes, in Street Fighter,
and was going to be the original. Well, not the original. When Amazon were going to do it, He-Man. He was originally signed to do He-Man.
He-Man. But I was trying to guess what will they go for with the tone, because it's going to be set back in Vietnam. Is it going to be closer to First Blood, or is it going to be closer to First Blood Part 2 and Rambo 3? I think there's a hint with the director, Jalmari Howlander of Sisu, Big Game and Rare Xbox fame. I think we're both relative fans of his work, maybe you more so than I. But he's not known for his subtlety, put it that way. Stallone is executive producer, which I think is important. But I'll be interested to see what the tone is that movie. I'm not saying I necessarily want it, but I'm definitely interested. 100% I'm interested. I don't want to see any more Stallone movies. He's too old now. Like, let's just fucking draw a line to that. But a prequel, are you excited about it? I'm oddly more excited simply because Jalmari Howland is directing it, to the point where I'm not even saying that means it's going to be good necessarily, but I'm like, it'll be interesting.
So the question is, where is the prequel set? Because if the prequel is...
It is set in Nam.
It is set in Nam.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's going to be interesting then, because I didn't want to be in... This is John Rambo in his high school days.
Like, no. It's very much his time in Vietnam. Yeah. And it's like shot on location and everything else. So they're saying a lot of the right things, I think.
Well, I'm all right. I'm up for it. I'm looking forward to looking for it. For me... Sorry, we are on prequel, aren't we? Remake, sequel, Let It Die. Yeah. I again, because this for Rambo First Blood Part 2, I don't need a sequel of this because I know the sequel that we got. I can't see. The problem is because we've had 5 of these films already. But I don't need a remake. So yes, a prequel that could go on with different Rambo films coming from it.
You would hope that surely it would just be one. You'd have to
if it does any well though, they're gonna
but then you have got the issue that you can only go as far as Vietnam realistically. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see, but I would generally be Leave Well Alone, but there is a prequel coming, and I'm like, okay, I am kind of interested in that. So I guess prequel is the answer.
Oh, do you know who's playing Troutman?
No idea.
David Harbour.
Oh no, I did read that before. I just totally forgot. Yeah, which is kind of cool. Doesn't look anything like it, but it's absolutely fine. And again, age-wise, doesn't actually make any sense.
Yeah, but
Troutman should be what, like 35?
Yeah,
by the time they're in Vietnam, maybe 40 at a stretch, not like 55, 60, whatever the hell he is. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, but who gives a shit?
But I'm with you. I mean, I'm more into it because Jalmari Hollander is directing it. And like you say, the guy that gave us Big Game, Rare Exports, all the Shizus,
and
he's got an upcoming film called Fairy Tale in New York.
I'm genuinely interested, though, to see if he reins in the tone a little bit, because I just think the expectation is to be closer to the first film, but his back catalogue would suggest it's going to be closer to the nonsense of the second and third films. But we shall see. We shall see. Yeah. Make a change. So if you're going to make one change to make this film better, there are loads of things I could say in terms of like the structure and the tone, blah blah blah. But the answer is unequivocally the loss of the soft lighting. That soft lighting, I hate it. It pops up randomly throughout the film. A film which is otherwise gorgeous to look at, I really dislike them. I still, for the life of me, can't figure out why they're in this film or what the purpose is. Get rid of them.
For me, because the soft lighting didn't. I mean, I did notice it, but it didn't.
It's always bothered me.
Great on me.
When I was younger watching this film, I was just like, "What the fuck is going on with the lighting in this film?"
For me, it's let Kobo live. Kobo. Ko is the emotional core of the film. She's killed off the moment she becomes interesting. Let her survive. Let her fight. Let her get the green card. Let her be Rambo's equal instead of a tragic plot device. I think the film would have hit harder if she just.
But you need the headband, and her death like it kind of drives his actions for the rest of the film, doesn't it?
So I think she needs to die, dude. You could injure her. You know, she could be unconscious.
I think she could die, but I think she could maybe they could have like, I don't know, another 10, 15 minutes before. I don't think she needs to be like kiss dead. You know, I feel like they could have at least given it 10, 15
It does feel like there was a like a heavy cut in it. Like there was an edit in there somewhere, wasn't there? Yeah.
Let's just get there. Well, maybe that was the love scene, which my brother was talking about. God knows. In terms of video games, there was a whole bunch of them. So there's Rambo for the Spectrum, the Commodore 64, etc. There's another version of Rambo for the NES. There was another one actually called First Blood Part 2 for the Master System. There's a 2008 arcade shooter from Sega, which includes scenes from all three movies. There was also another terrible Rambo, the video game for the 360 and PS3, which again included scenes from all three films and was basically like a bit of an on-rails thing going on. The interesting one was that Akari Warriors, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that. It was a really popular 80s shooter from SNK, which I played a million times. It was always like, well, Akari Warriors looks like a Rambo game. It was supposed to be a Rambo game, so they couldn't get the rights. But when they suddenly decided, okay, this can't be a Rambo game, we're going to have to rename it. They renamed it Akari because Akari is a direct reference to the name in Japan. So you mentioned the fact that it's called like Rambo Furious Escape. In Japanese, that's Rambo Akari no Dahatsu. So they just took one of the words, I think I've got to assume it's Furious. Yeah. And they've just taken that from the Rambo title and just made that the title of the game. But Akari Warriors was supposed to be a Rambo game. But if I was going to make one today, the answer is basically Crystal Dynamics and their Tomb Raider reboots, if only because of the great use of the bow and arrow in those games. Yeah. But I think tonally they could work. The only other one I could think of, and I mentioned it numerous times in this podcast, is Metal Gear Solid, but specifically Metal Gear Solid 5, which has more of an open world, less of a story and more of a just, be a badass in an open space and kill a bunch of dudes. I'm like, that could kind of work. But I still think it's the Tomb Raider reboot, specifically the first one, because of all the violent deaths and everything.
So we have totally gone different this week, finally, because we have been pretty much on...
We've been, We've synced in on quite a few of these.
There was like a 2012-2015 game called Broforce. This isn't my choice. This is one I remember. Remember Broforce? Yeah, Well, basically, you had Rambo, you had John Matrix.
It just had, that's basically sense of all the famous 80s and 90s action heroes.
If I remember the artwork as well, I mean, the John Rambo character had the headband and the mullet.
Yeah, and it was like, because it was all like really simple pixel art, it would just have those distinguishing features. So it was like the red headband immediately told you this is Rambo.
But the Matrix character had the four...
rocket launcher.
Yeah. But for me, if I'm picking a game, I'm going Far Cry 3.
It's not a bad show.
It's one man versus an entire army, jungle, explosions as a lifestyle. The protagonist who survives things that should kill a tank. You know, it's got over-the-top action, villains who monologue before dying. The hero communicates mostly through violence. a world where stealth lasts 0.4 seconds.
Yeah, but I think it's probably the correct answer, because in terms of gameplay, like if you think of and you can say this of all Far Cry's, but Far Cry 3 is usually considered, I think, by many to be the best one. Is that combination of like you can go in stealthily, so you can go to like the outposts famously in those games, and you can tag all the guys up, and you can use your bow and arrow, and you can silently like smoke them all, or you can go in with a fucking 2 LMGs and just mow everyone down. So you can have whichever Rambo experience you want in any given moment. So I think actually, like, I'd love the idea of Far Cry Rambo Edition. That sounds absolutely amazing. So yeah, you've chosen wisely. I'm going to go with your one. Now I literally because it's been a few years since Far Cry, and I for one reason or another, I couldn't get into Far Cry 6, the one set in
Giancarlo Esposito one.
Yeah.
I couldn't get into that.
I don't know why. Like, and I know a lot of people had mixed feelings about Far Cry 5. I had a bit of a slow start, but I suddenly totally warmed to Far Cry 5 and played the entire game. Far Cry 6, I tried it twice, because it's like sometimes you play a game and you're just not in the mood. So I stepped away, and like 6-7 months later, I was like, I'm going to give this another bash. And it was the same thing. It was like still, the classic gameplay, and it looked gorgeous, but something about that game just didn't click me. It's interesting you had the same experience.
Yeah. So I liked Far Cry 3, but I had to go back to it. And again, Far Cry, because the problem I was against all of the Far Cries after Far Cry 1. Far Cry 1 is one of my favorite games when it first came out.
Yeah.
I loved the Jack Carver being like the weird boat pilot turns out to be an ex-Navy SEAL, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada.
And it was a proper technical showcase. Like when
you had the mutants and everything like that. So you're going up against mutants, you're going up against the army on the island. And then all of a sudden Far Cry 2 comes out, and it's like, I'm a mercenary. And it just felt
I've got malaria.
Yeah. So and to get rid of the Jack Carver character, I just didn't like.
See, I like the idea of Far Cry 2, because I didn't have the same attachments to the first one. That idea that guns broke down, and you've got malaria, so you have to deal with it. But the reality of playing the game was just annoying. It was just annoying. I was just I can't be dealing with this. But yeah, Far Cry 2 was cool. I actually quite like Far Cry 4, the one set in the Himalayas.
Yeah, I didn't mind. Like I said, I didn't mind. Far Cry Primal, I wasn't a fan of. That was.
I was similar to you with Far Cry 3. I started playing, and I was like, "This is silly. Like, what are we doing here?" And I went back to it 6 months later, and I was like, for some reason, it just clicked. Like, I quite enjoyed it. It's when I got
over myself from Far Cry 1, because I was like,
I
know they ruined it for me. Well, I tell you what ruined Far Cry for me was the Uwe Boll film, but that's a different story.
Oh, that is a different story altogether. Yeah. I had to beat him to death with his own shoes. Sorry, that was a random Wayne's World reference. But no, I would love. It's been a while since we've had a Far Cry game, and I can't imagine many things get me more excited for a video game than if they literally announced Far Cry 7 Rambo. I was like, dude, I mean, surely somebody in there has got to pitch that and be like, guys, do you reckon? Because, we've talked about prequels and sequels and stuff. Like Indiana Jones, they're too old to do more movies. Just fucking forget about it.
Yeah.
We are in an era when you can go back and do sequels. And if you get the writing right, you can have successful sequels set in the universe and have them be canon. But the video game version, and Indiana Jones is a perfect example of that. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is much better than the last Indiana Jones film. It just is. It's a better story, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to see more Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, but he's too old now. So just do the video game version. Have him do the voice, have him modulated, whatever. Just have him do. I just want the Far Cry game now. I'm getting all excited about it. That sounds absolutely fucking amazing. That leads us to IMDb, our 10-star and 1-star reviews. But before we do that, I have a guess at how many written reviews there are. 242.
340.
Oh, okay, I feel all right about that. That's not many miles. So 340. Those, how many are 10-star? I'm going to say like quite a few. I can 60?
45.
Okay, that's not too bad. Not too bad. I'm in the right ballpark at least.
Okay, so this one written in September 2000, titled An Important Piece of Movie History.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. This movie is a sort of legend. It's the greatest action flick of all the times, and the only movie can be compared to... Fucking hell. An action flick of all the times, and the only movie can be compared to it's Rambo 3, another masterpiece. Fuck me, just grammar, please. Rambo First Blood Part 2 is intelligent, beautiful, frightening, and so 80s. That you could consider it a piece of history. One of the best performances of Sylvester Stallone. Julie Nicholson is great, and she's a fine actress. Richard Crenna is a myth. He was there.
Just like breaking. Breaking is also a myth. Sorry, that's a reference to Thrashing, which we covered last week. So if anyone hasn't listened to our Thrashing episode, like, what the fuck? Breaking is a myth? What the hell are we
the screenplay is a masterstroke.
Sorry. I even think I fucked up. Does he say breaking is a myth or breaking is a memory? I can't even remember.
A memory. It was a memory.
Sorry, fucked it up anyway. My apologies.
This is already difficult to get through. Shut up.
Yeah, I'm not helping. Sorry.
The screenplay is a masterstroke, and I don't care the track of reggaeism in it.
Oh, sorry, he's going for Reaganism, not reggaeism, which is a very different film.
Yeah, okay, Reaganism. I get that. I read like reggae. Okay, it's reggae. What?
I'm just saying, it's one of those ones you do. Like usually, I just let you go, but I'm just like reggaeism is very different to Reaganism.
No, I know, but he put reggaeism.
Oh no, I'm sure he did. This guy sounds like a lunatic.
Rambo was a rebel, a lone soldier, not a simple puppet in the hands of America, not a simple human instrument. America offended and pushed him in the first movie. Rambo is an anti-hero. He really don't care about America. He cares about American soldiers still trapped in that hell. Point have you understand. Best sequence, all the movie my favorite. The Kobau's death, so poetic. Sly seems a dancer when he fights, but he's one of the greatest actor too. He's not only a bunch of muscles. If you love good movies, you'll love Rambo First Blood Part 2, the mother of all the action flicks. Without it, forget Die Hard and Lethal Weapon, forget the word action.
Jesus Christ, that really did go on, didn't it? As we mentioned numerous times in this podcast, the 10-star and 1-star reviews for these films are often pretty insane, as proven there. 1-star reviews, I don't think there'll be nearly as many. I'm going to go
No, there's not.
9?
14, dude, so that's close.
14, that's not too bad.
Yeah. Okay, so this one, hopefully a bit better, was written in February 2009, titled, This Movie Will Live Forever in Classrooms.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see where this is going, but sure.
Today, this movie was on AMC. I had the misfortune to tune in, or maybe it was fortune. There is not a single element of this movie that I personally could not have made better. In the first 5 minutes, and I know nothing. Screenplay, direction, sound, editing, music, acting, whatever, you name it. No part of it makes any sense. There is no point of using any examples like in the scene where, because every scene is equally awful. It's hilarious in its stupidity. That there are people willing to believe that anything so hugely improbable is believable is frightening. That review doesn't match its title.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. I was like, oh, where's this going? Nowhere interesting, sadly. 1-star feels very harsh this film, but I get it if it doesn't float your boat. But, kind of going after it because it doesn't seem believable. I'm like, it's an 80s action movie, dude. What are we doing with you? Which leads to our own scores and recommendations. This is quite an interesting one because, as I mentioned, like a lot of people, I would kind of bookend the Rambo series with Last Blood at one end, First Blood at the front. And not just because they're the first and fifth film. I think they're clearly the first and fifth best movies.
I couldn't find Sylvester Stallone's, by the way. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
But in terms of the middle, as I said, 2, 3, and 4, throw a blanket over them. And I genuinely think all three of them are probably 3-star movies. And I'd probably recommend all three of them. It'd be interesting now because I can't remember what I gave Rambo 3 when we covered on the podcast. But they're all going to be in the 3, 3.5 kind of range. But I give this film a 3. It's got its problems. But like I said, I probably enjoyed it more this time than I ever had in the past. I know I kicked off about the soft focus. That used to really upset me. I've let it go, as I said. And not just because, the cinematographer's second name is Cardiff. I genuinely didn't appreciate what a gorgeous looking film this is for the most part. The score is magnificent. I think, Sylvester Stallone is actually really good in this film. Looks fantastic. When it goes for it really goes for it. Like I said, the messaging gets totally lost. They try and force feed a little bit to you at the end. It's complete cobblers. But 3 stars and a yes for me.
Pretty much the same. It's 3 stars, and it is a yes. It's fun to watch. It's fun to see the insanity of just like how much TNT or whatever it is they went through. It's I can't say any more than what you've said. So it's a 3 and a yes.
And like I said, with the Sylvester Stallone films, I think, we've said the same about the Rocky films when we covered those, that evolution of 80s cinema. And you really see it with the Rocky films between Rocky 2, 3, and then on to 4. And then with this, with First Blood, and then First Blood Part 2, and then on to Rambo 3. You really are seeing that natural kind of elevation of nonsense up into kind of the stratosphere of 80s action films. So, as the first review mentioned, it's an important movie in its own way. I don't quite agree with him there. But, it's an interesting watch. It still holds up for the most part. part. So 3 in the S across the board. So yeah, that has been 1985's Rambo First Blood Part 2. Next week is your choice, sir.
Next week is my choice, and I am going to give you the year of 1989.
So not Tango and Cash, we've already covered that.
Not Tango and Cash, and not Lock Up.
I was going to say, Lock Up, they're the only two I can think of now. Did Schwarzenegger do a movie in 89? I can't think of anything now.
I mean, you're way off base.
Okay.
One of the stars of the film was Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern?
Yeah.
What's Daniel Stern in? Other than this film, I'm not trying to trick you. Just give me another example.
Oh, he was Marv in Home Alone.
Oh, it's not Celtic. No, Celtic Pride was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Celtic Pride was in the 90s, yeah. We should do Celtic Pride.
We should totally do Celtic Pride. Again, a film I'm pretty sure... There are 2 sports films from my youth I'm sure are rubbish, but I have really fond memories of. It's The Great White Hype and Celtic Pride. And I have such fond memories of both.
So random to see fucking Ghostbuster, Ray Stantz. What's his name in real life?
Oh, Jesus Christ, I had Rick Moranis stuck in my head.
Dan Aykroyd.
Dan Aykroyd, thank you.
So weird to see Dan Aykroyd with Daniel Stern as well, kidnap Damon Wayans.
Damon Wayans, yeah. Damon Wayans. Yeah, like I said, I have fond memories of that film. I don't know how it holds up. So maybe we'll do it on the podcast.
A sports movie I have fond memories of was, I don't know if you remember, The Sixth Man. Do you remember that?
Oh, the baseball film. No, not the baseball film.
It was another Wayans. It was Marlon Wayans.
Yeah,
college basketball, exactly. And his brother died and became a ghost to help them win basketball games.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to rewatch that one. I did see that one.
I like that film.
What's the baseball film I'm thinking of? The one with John Cusack about the White Sox.
8 Men Out.
8 Men Out. Sorry, I just knew it had a fucking name, a number in the title.
None of these films are next week's pick, by now.
No. And 8 Men Out is actually a really good film. That is a genuinely good film. Like, great moment in baseball. Not a great moment in baseball history, but a really interesting moment in baseball history. So if you're going to watch one of those, definitely watch 8 Men Out rather than The Sixth Man, which is ass. I'm getting no closer to 89 in my... no idea.
Directed by Richard Greenberg?
Nope. That's not happened.
Who was the visual effects artist on Predator and Flash Gordon?
89. So is this sci-fi?
Fantasy, I want to say.
I'm drawing a complete blank.
That's okay. Right, 2 more, and then I'll tell you. You're not going to get it, I don't think. Rick Ducommun was in it. We're bringing Rick Ducommun back. Jesus
Christ, yeah, I didn't see that come in. I've still got nothing. Do you think I've seen this film?
I don't know if you've seen it. I think you've heard of it. And I mean, spoiler alert, I don't think you were a fan.
Fantastic. Here we go.
Yeah. Fred Savage?
It's not The Wizards.
No, it's not. When was The Wizard?
What year was The Wizard? That would have been 91, I think, The Wizard, because it was the reveal of Super Mario.
No, The Wizard was 89 as well.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, because Super Mario Brothers 3 came out later in the West, but they revealed it because it came out in 89 in Japan, and that was the reveal to Western audiences. Another bad film I wouldn't mind rewatching.
Yeah.
I feel like this is it's on the tip of my tongue now. Fantasy movie. Fred Savage. It's not the one with the weird alien thing with him, is it?
So you are on the ball.
Me and the Monster, or whatever the fuck it's called.
You're getting there. It's not Little Monsters.
Little Monsters, that's it. Yeah, I can see the poster. I was like, as soon as you said Fred Savage, I was like, it's that fucking monster movie. Or I knew he was with something weird. It was just one of those films I just never had any interest in watching.
No, I get it.
But but I've never seen it, so I can't be critical of it.
This is the darkest kids film that I can recall. Okay. It's super dark. It's Monsters Under Your Bed. It's Monsters Inc., but not cute.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And I am contemplating. It's a PG, so I'm contemplating whether to show it to my kid.
What's the rating? Just out of interest, the IMDb rating
PG.
For this. No, the IMDb rating.
Sorry. Oh, the IMDb rating is 6.1.
Oh, so people like this film then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying they love it, but 6.1 is not
6.1 out of 15,000 reviews.
Yeah, it's pretty reasonable, I think. Which reminds me, before we move on and wrap this podcast up, I haven't done the quiz, so you're gonna have to take these real quick. That was a weird bit.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so basically, this quiz, they're just 3 hints. They're just based on cards, just movie. What was the game? I do this every week. A game about identifying movies from the worst descriptions ever. Yeah, they do it so much better than I do. The first one: a boy becomes a cult leader on his family vacation.
Children of Corn? No. A cult leader on his family
vacation.
It's
a bit of a tricky one, that one, I think.
Okay, a boy becomes a cult leader on his family vacation.
Okay, the hint is it's in space. I'm not sure if that helps either.
It's not lost in space, is it?
No. And the last hint I'll give you, because I do think it's a tricky one, there are 2 versions of this movie.
Okay, hang on now. A boy becomes a cult leader on his family vacation. Mm-hmm. It's set in space.
Yeah, the family vacation thing's a bit of a stretch, I think. But yeah, I get what they're going for.
It's not the last Starfighter. You said it's
the cult leader is the bit you want to kind of
But I can't think of space films about. Oh, is this a Star Wars one? Is this no? It's not Star Wars.
It's the more recent version of this is one you're criminally not so fussed on, and I adore.
Oh fuck me! Is it Dune?
It's June, yeah.
Okay, yeah. That you spoon fed that one to me.
I honestly, because I try and do these before. I kind of read up the answers, and I was just like, I couldn't get that one. I found that one really tricky. Is this one quite hard as well? Ooh, maybe. An orphan cheats at the racetrack.
Oh, an orphan cheats at the racetrack.
An orphan cheats at the racetrack.
Okay, well, the one that comes to mind is Lucky Number 11, but he got made an orphan because of the racetrack.
I think the hint is important on this one.
Yeah.
It's animated. And the last hint I'll give you, it's the same year as the movie you just chose.
Okay, animated, cheats at the racetrack. These are hard ones. This
one's a tricky one. I didn't get this one either. But I don't have the attachments to the film.
I got an attachment to the film, have I?
No, I don't. I'm not sure. I suspect you might not is the problem. So I'm just going to tell you if you don't know it. All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Oh, yeah, not an attachment to the film.
Yeah. Like my wife's seen it a whole bunch of times, I think, but it's just one of those like animated films. I've seen like a whole it's not like because it's animated. I've seen like 5 Goes West fucking million times.
Yeah.
What was the one with the dinosaurs, which is super sad?
Dinosaurs.
The Never Ending. No. The story before.
Land Before Time.
Land Before Time. Yeah, where they all just fucking die. Super sad. This is an interesting one. I did get this one, but I had to think about it a couple times. Santa Claus steals a fish.
Okay. Santa Claus steals a fish. So it's like Tim Allen, possibly.
I'm going to give you a hint, and it's not the official hint. We've covered it on this podcast.
We've covered it on the podcast where somebody steals a fish.
Santa Claus steals a fish.
Okay, what's the official hint?
All because of a bet. It's not a bad. That's when I got it because.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All because of a bet. Santa Claus steals a fish. Is it Tim Allen?
No.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of other Santa Clauses then. Santa Claus. Not Kurt Russell. Is it Kurt Russell?
And again, I wouldn't get caught up on the idea that this is a Santa Claus movie.
No. I don't think he's I think somebody who played Santa Claus is in this film.
Yeah, it's tricky because that's where my head initially went. I was trying to think of someone who played Santa Claus, and it's not really that bizarre.
Okay.
This is the last thing I'll give you. We talked about him very, very recently.
Well, that's not going to help me. We don't shut up about films.
Okay. The final hint is neither of us could remember his name.
No, I'm lost. Oh, it's David Harbour. Is it? No, it's not David Harbour. No. I'll go on.
Dan Aykroyd.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Yes, okay. He was Santa Claus. It was Trading Places. Yes.
It's been a weird mix because some of the weeks I think up until this week, I think you've nailed all of them.
Yeah,
a lot of them without even the need for an additional hint, the official hint. But this week's been
so that one got me because when I'm thinking of fish, I was thinking of a live fish or a stuffed fish, not the fact he had a salmon down his Santa Claus suit. Yeah. Okay. They were tough, mate. They were tough this week.
I'm just taking a quick look at the next week's. 2 of them feel a lot more winnable. Winnable is that the right term? But doable.
Two of them feel a lot more your speed. You dumb fuck.
Well, I didn't want to just kind of like, those are tricky. So like, no, because I get it. Sometimes you have like a mental block and whatever, and you just can't get to it. Those ones, the only one I thought you might get realistic. Like I wasn't sure about the All Dogs Go to Heaven thing because it was like you either know the film or you don't. Trading Places, obviously we do have an attachment to that film, but I did the same thing. You hear Santa Claus steals a fish, and I'm thinking of like, I know it is a Christmas movie, but it's not a Christmas film where nobody's actually playing Santa. He just dresses as Santa for what, like 5 minutes in that film. Yeah. So very tricky there. So I'm not going to blame you for that. Blame you. You're a cunt. You fucked it up. So anyway, anything else before we wrap this up?
No, mate. I'm all good this week.
All right, good. I've been Liam. He's been Rob, and you've been listening to the Hey You Guys podcast. Cheers, guys. See you next week.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Oh, and before I forget, where can folk reach us if they were so inclined to?
Well, you can actually reach us on Hey You Guys 80s at Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. But if you want to send us a mail, do heyyouguys80s@gmail.com. Send us in your recommendations. Send us in your thoughts about any of the episodes. Just literally talk to us. We'll have a one-sided talk with you on the podcast.
Yeah. We're nice folk. Get in touch. But no, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Hey, you guys!